J.R.R. Tolkien's The Lord of the Rings stands as a cornerstone of modern fantasy, celebrated for its rich world building, intricate lore, and the timeless themes of good versus evil. While the events of The Lord of the Rings focus on the aftermath of Sauron's rise to power and his eventual downfall, Sauron was merely a lieutenant of a far greater evil, Morgoth, the First Dark Lord. Morgoth's defeat in the War of Wrath, which ended the First Age, paved the way for the events that unfolded in the Second and Third Ages. But what if Morgoth had never been defeated? What if his reign of darkness had continued, fundamentally altering the course of Arda's history? This video delves into the potential consequences of such a catastrophic scenario, exploring the profound impact that would have had on the characters, the lands, and the very fabric of Tolkien's world. Greetings all, I'm your guide, the Archivist. Today I will look at a scenario where Morgoth was not defeated. Before we begin, please remember to like the like and subscribe waystones down below, so that more people can learn from the archives. The First Age, dominated by Morgoth's presence, was a time of constant war, destruction and despair. His power was immense, and his influence spread across like a creeping blight across Middle-earth. If Morgoth had remained undefeated, the state of perpetual conflict would have continued, perhaps even intensified. The lands would remain scarred and corrupted, with pockets of resistance struggling to survive against overwhelming odds. Considering the geographical landscape, Morgoth's fortresses Angband and later Thangorodrim were symbols of his dominion, despoiling the land around them. With his continued reign, these dark fortresses would likely expand, consuming more and more of Middle-earth. The forests could be razed, the rivers poisoned, and the mountains reshaped into formidable defences, transforming the once vibrant landscape into a barren wasteland. The beautiful lands of Beleriand, now lost beneath the waves, offer a grim preview of what might have befallen the rest of Middle-earth. The Elves, the firstborn of Iluvatar, were Morgoth's primary adversaries in the First Age. Their skill, beauty, and inherent connection to the land made them a constant thorn in his side. Their fate in a world where Morgoth remained triumphant would be bleak. The great elven kingdoms such as Gondolin and Doriath were eventually destroyed in the First Age, even with the Valar's limited involvement. Without the intervention of the Valar to ultimately defeat Morgoth, it is highly probable that all remaining elven strongholds would eventually fall. Some elves might be enslaved, twisted into mockeries of their former selves, whilst others would flee into the deepest, most inaccessible parts of Middle-earth, living as hunted outcasts, their numbers dwindling with each passing year. The hope of Valinor, the undying lands in the west, would remain a distant dream, a symbol of what was once lost. The longing for the blessed realm would become a source of immense sorrow, a constant reminder of their defeat and the enduring power of darkness. The exodus to Valinor, a beacon of hope in the Second and Third Ages, would likely cease entirely, leaving the elves trapped in a world consumed by shadow. Men, the Secondborn, arrived in Middle-earth during the First Age, and their relationship with Morgoth was complex. Some allied with him, drawn by his promises of power and dominion, whilst others fought alongside the elves. In a world where Morgoth remained victorious, the potential for corruption and manipulation would be amplified. The kingdoms of men that arose in the Second and Third Ages, such as Gondor and Arnor, would never come to fruition. Any attempts to establish independent settlements were quickly crushed by Morgoth's forces. Men would likely be forced into servitude, becoming vassals of the Dark Lord, their cultures and traditions twisted to serve his evil purposes. The noble qualities associated often with men in Tolkien's works, such as courage, loyalty, and compassion, would be eroded by the constant presence of fear and oppression. The temptation to succumb to darkness would be ever present, leading to a gradual moral decay. The line between man and orc, already blurred in some instances, might become even more indistinct, creating a race of beings entirely subservient to Morgoth's will. The Dwarves, known for their skill in crafting and their stubborn independence, presented a different kind of challenge to Morgoth. While less overtly involved in the conflicts of the First Age, they were not immune to his influence. In a world where Morgoth maintained his dominion, the dwarves would likely retreat further into their underground cities, becoming increasingly isolated and suspicious. Their renowned craftsmanship could be exploited by Morgoth, forcing them to forge weapons and armor for his armies. The lure of wealth and power could also corrupt some dwarves, leading to internal conflicts and alliances with the Dark Lord. The discovery of Mithril, the precious metal found in Khazad-dûm, would present a significant temptation. Morgoth would undoubtedly seek to control this resource, leading to a devastating war with the dwarves. The ultimate result would likely be the fall of Khazad-dûm and the enslavement of the inhabitants, further diminishing the free peoples of Middle-earth. Perhaps the most significant consequence of Morgoth's continued reign would be the absence of hope. The Lord of the Rings is ultimately a story about the enduring power of hope in the face of overwhelming darkness. Characters like Frodo, Sam, and Aragorn embody this theme, preserving against seemingly insurmountable odds. In a world where Morgoth remained undefeated, this hope would be extinguished. The knowledge that the ultimate evil was still in power, that there was no possibility of lasting peace or freedom, would crush the spirits of all those who resisted him. The stories of courage and sacrifice that inspired the characters in The Lord of the Rings would become mere whispers, lost in the unending darkness. While the Valar ultimately intervened to defeat Morgoth in the War of Wrath, their direct involvement in Middle-earth's affairs was generally limited. They were hesitant to interfere too directly, fearing the consequences of their actions. However, if Morgoth's power continued to grow unchecked, the Valar might be forced to reconsider their stance. The fate of Arda, the world itself, might be at stake. They might choose to engage in a more direct and forceful intervention, risking further damage to the land in a desperate attempt to contain Morgoth's influence. This could lead to catastrophic war that would reshape the very foundations of the world. Alternately, they might choose to remain aloof, watching as Middle-earth descends into utter darkness, their own power diminished by Morgoth's enduring reign. The defeat of Morgoth was a pivotal event in Tolkien's mythology, paving the way for the Second and Third Ages and ultimately allowing for the triumph of good over evil in The Lord of the Rings. To imagine a world where Morgoth was never defeated is to envision a realm of perpetual darkness, where hope is extinguished and the free peoples of Middle-earth are forever subjugated. The consequences would be far-reaching and devastating, fundamentally altering the characters, the lands, and the very essence of Tolkien's world. This thought experiment underscores the importance of Morgoth's defeat and highlights the enduring power of hope in the face of overwhelming adversity, a central theme that resonates throughout Tolkien's legendary work. The details of such a world paint a grim picture, one that serves as a stark reminder of the darkness that can consume a world if left unchecked. And so I have now covered the content for this video, but if there's anything that has been missed, please share them in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this content, please remember to like the like and subscribe waystones down below. Now Lueg of Vanadvan, until we meet again.